Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life. I am so excited to have a former client and maybe sometime client coming in to visit me, Norri Oberlander.
Hi, how are
Norri.
you?
I just want to let you know Norri is spelled Norri and her last name Oberlander. And you can find her on Facebook. She has a private group. Is it a closed group?
It's a private group where you can request to join, yeah?
Yep, and it's Londonderry Keto Mom, so you can search for that. She's a great resource. She's learned a ton on her own and working with me and with a fitness coach. So tell my readers a little bit about you. You're married, have kids?
Yeah,
what you do for work?
I live in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I have 2 kids. I'm married.
How old are the kids?
Andrea is 7 and Shaden is 4. Mm-hmm. And I run my family business. I'm a landlady and property management. So life is definitely crazy, on call 24/7. My parents are from New York. I was raised in Bedford, New Hampshire. And I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you to share your journey and maybe show our viewers a little bit about how you reached out for help, found some help, and really changed your life forever.
Absolutely. So when I started searching for a coach, I would say, I have had eating issues all my life. I have fluctuated in weight all my life, and I'm definitely a fixer by nature. And I just always want to be proactive and not feel so out of control with eating. And I had seen psychiatrists. I have done any weight loss, plan you could ever imagine. Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Isogenics. I mean, I could name Jenny Craig ever since I was in high school. And I'm 36 years old now. And I actually started Googling life coach because I felt like I needed to cure myself of this yo-yo eating and this maybe what I thought was a food addiction because I just was so fed up. My father was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I believe due to his bad eating habits. He has type 2 diabetes, which led to triple bypass surgery, which led to an Alzheimer's diagnosis. So my world flipped upside down because he was my coworker, my mentor, my best friend. I saw him more than anybody in my life because we worked together. He had all the knowledge of the business. He was just so many things to me. And when he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I ate myself to oblivion. I medicated myself through food, which is kind of a little psycho if you think about it, because I was doing to myself what he did to himself. And I just knew at that point I was just like, I couldn't stand myself anymore. So when I searched life coach, your profile popped up on the internet, and the minute I contacted you and we spoke over the phone, I knew you would be a perfect fit because you weren't taking my BS. And I needed somebody to be a little, to guide me, but to show me what's real, what's fake, to make me positive. And I remember meeting you the first day and crying in your office because I was just a mess from the Alzheimer's diagnosis and from how I've treated my own body. But you gave me hope on that first day. And when it comes down to it, I think the biggest thing in life is that I feel like if a genie came to me and gave me one wish, and that one wish would be to emulate somebody's relationship with food in my life, not being in the medical field, not being in the fitness field. Mm-hmm. I literally couldn't name one person that I would want to emulate. I think that, health and eating badly and eating poorly is an epidemic amongst many women. And of course some men, but I don't think men are as vocal to me about it as women are. But again, there wasn't one person in my life I could emulate and say, wow, they have a great relationship with food, unless they were in the fitness or health field. So to me, I think that's sad. I think a lot of people have this issue, and that's why I started this this Facebook page that was Londonderry Keto Moms, but now has blown up to not just Londonderry. 200 people have joined, so I mentor those people. But I make it apparent that I'm mentoring them emotionally. I have no medical degree. But I really try to help everybody because you have helped me. So to try to pass it on.
Well, I think it's a really good way to lock yourself into this new lifestyle. And when you came into my office to see me, you were ready to tell the truth to yourself. I was just there to hear it. So you were doing all the talking. You weren't broken. You were in pain.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. You were scared.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a burden on my kids the way my parents had been on me. Yeah, it's tough.
You were confused.
Definitely. On 20 different diets.
You were blaming yourself.
Definitely.
And then we told a new story.
Yeah, thank God. Not thank God. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Norri. We worked together.
We worked together as a team, and
Yeah.
we just told a new story and said, wait a minute, I'm not broken. I'm ready to tell the truth. I'm ready to do the hard work. It's hard work anyway. I might as well do hard work that gets me to where I want to be.
Right.
Right? Because it was hard work being where you are.
Totally hard work, yeah.
Yeah.
And the best thing of it all, after losing 50 pounds, is that I'm healthier. But I feel like I have a plan for long term. I don't feel like this is another yo-yo. I feel like you helped me with my habits and with my way of eating. You help me with being positive in my mind and getting down to the root of why I was abusing food when I was abusing food. And of course you taught me that health is an emergency. Just because I don't think a doctor does that. I think a doctor looks at me and sees that I'm 36 and all my blood numbers are good. Everything's good. They tell you you're overweight, but they don't make it an emergency, But what they don't tell you is that if you keep going this way, you're going to end up a burden on your children. You're going to have diseases. Type 2 diabetes runs in my family. So I don't think they make it enough as an emergency as you made it for me. And I always said I'm healthy. I'm 36. I'm just overweight, But in reality, the path I was going on was going to be a burden on my kids. And you made me realize that it's not what motivates you, it's what's your emergency. And what do you think about every day when you go to eat that candy bar? Is that sabotaging your health? Is that going to help your kids? Is that going to make your kids take care of you when you're older? So I think that you helped me in every piece of the puzzle, which is what other diets didn't do for me. When you do isogenics and you drink shakes, not only are you not full, but you're not helping the problems of habits, of health, of addiction, of all these different pieces of puzzle pieces that need to come together in order for you to succeed for life. I always do think I'll have eating issues, but I think that you've really given me tools for life, and that's what I'm so grateful for.
Thank you for that acknowledgement.
Thank you.
I think one of the reasons why I see it as more urgent early on is because I understand that the brain has, the way we build habits is actually a chemical and a neurological change in our brains. And habits are built and established and laid down by practicing. So if I can get you to practice a new behavior consistently, you're rewiring your brain. That's when we tell ourselves that new story. We create the story of where we want to be. So we put ourselves there before we even know how it's going to play out. So I'm now a healthy person with a healthy relationship with food, and I'm there for my children through their graduation, through their wedding, and I'm there to continue to be part of the business and mentor the next generation. So all those habits are getting laid down and practiced. We don't see it until it's too late when the system fails, when the grooves are just too deep in,
Right.
in the other direction.
Right. I
So-
also think my parents are conditioned to say it's hereditary, and I think that I've learned that I'm sure there's some part of it that's hereditary, but, I used to sit down with my father and he'd load up on the carbs and sugar, and I used to cry to him and say, Dad, please, like, you're basically killing yourself. And he would be like, what a wonderful way to die, but it's so interesting that he always talked about how he would just die, and I, in a business, you talk about, God forbid something happens to me every day. So we talked about death a lot because I had to step in if, God forbid, something happened to him. But we never discussed what if he had Alzheimer's. Never. I mean, this man was an engineer, the smartest man I knew. And then he just turned into a 7-year-old, So it's just, it's shocking to see how much you can abuse your own body to become, diseased. And it's sad, but I guess I'm going to learn from it. And one time my lawyer said, look, there's nobody else. You don't have a backup. So you better get healthy. And I was like, whoa, that was like a slap in the face, because I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And he's right. If I drop dead tomorrow, who's going to take over the business for the family? Like, all that my father worked for, all that he killed himself for, will be nothing because I don't have a backup. So that slapped me in the face too.
So really getting in touch with your purpose, your why, the greater thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The connection with, I don't know, is it spiritual? What do you call that? That why, that greater purpose?
I don't know. I think that people that motivate themselves because they have to get into a dress at a wedding is not like, first of all, it's short term. It doesn't last. And that's not what motivates me. I think that making this an emergency is really like what motivated me to get healthy.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So everyone's different. Every person's approach to nutrition and what they need is different. We're all very unique. So I want to say that up front, and want to also say to the audience that this is not giving medical advice or nursing advice or nutrition advice to you specifically, but I am curious to hear what worked for you. What was working for you in your choices with food?
So I was introduced to like the keto lifestyle, and keto means it's a low carb way of life. So, no sugar, no carbs, and the only carbs that I'm eating are through my leafy vegetables or whatever, but no starches.
And just a little medical definition. So ketogenic just means that you're converting fat to fuel. So your liver is able to convert stored fat to fuel. That's all that means. So keto just means fat burner versus sugar burner.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think.
So tell me a little bit about what your day would look like.
Well, so I think the keto lifestyle is great for somebody who has food addiction issues. I think that by lowering my carb and sugar intake, it stopped my cravings. Now, did it fully stop my cravings? No, everybody wants a candy bar, but it taught me that if I'm really going to eat a candy bar or a piece of cake, it better be some quality cake. And in life, when do we ever come across quality cake? It's very rare. So now at every birthday party I go to, I say no to the pizza. It's not quality, One time I said yes, it was Pizzeria Uno, like deep dish. And then I always say no to the cake. It's like grocery store cake. It's not like gourmet, cake. So it's opened my eyes to realize that you don't come across a lot of quality, delicious food, and that's nice. I think that's nice. But my daily intake was basically, I did intermittent fasting in addition to the keto lifestyle.
Can you define what that is for you?
So I've learned that it's all about, less insulin spikes throughout the day and really kind of helping your metabolism. So
why is insulin important?
Oh no, well, I am not a doctor, but I know that every time you spike your insulin, you are kind of negatively affecting your metabolism. Am I right?
Yeah. So when your when you have excess sugar, you make excess insulin or enough insulin to manage that sugar. But insulin is a hormone, a fat storing hormone, and a hunger hormone. So those are the effects of it. So by your when you say intermittent fasting, what timing were you using?
So I do 18-6, which means I fast for 18 hours and I eat in a 6-hour window. And it took me time to build up to that. So I eat my lunch at 1 and my dinner at 6, around those times. And I make sure when I sit down, I eat a protein, a healthy fat, and vegetables. I think that a lot of people have negative thoughts about keto because sometimes keto is abused. You know, it's think of as like Atkins. You go through the drive-through. You eat. You know, I eat more healthy keto. You know,
so you're not eating tons of dairy or tons of.
No, to me, dairy is a yellow light. So like everything in my head is red, yellow, green.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, I think dairy is a yellow light. I don't think it should be abused. You know, but I think that it's nice to have some pleasure from it. But I don't eat shredded, you know, mozzarella because they have flour. There's white flour in that. I shred my own fresh mozzarella, you know, and I make it a treat on my salad. I don't like abuse it. But you know, green light to me is like green vegetables. I love vegetables. I mean, I could eat, and no starches or anything like that. But
occasionally you have an indulgence though.
I do, and it's not. You know, sometimes it's planned. For example, one time I went to the Bedford Village Inn, and I knew a chocolatier made this dessert, and it was so quality, and I decided I'm going to have it, but if I'm going to have it, I need to spend the next week weaning off of it, you know, because it's going to give me that sugar rush that I haven't had in so long. So when I ate it, I felt high. I actually maybe didn't feel that good because my body was so used to not having sugar.
So you noticed it. It happened.
Oh my God.
You just couldn't notice it
I felt like literally like whacked out. I felt like it was weird. And then the next day was tough. You know, it was tough to wean myself back off of that chocolate dessert. But if you commit to weaning off of it for the next week, I feel like that was a controlled cheat that I really enjoyed, and it was worth it, quality. But again, how many times a month you come across quality? You really don't. But and I could say no. I mean, like even like the bread in the aisle of the grocery store is so gross to me now.
Yeah.
Like it's so processed. You know, how often do you come across homemade, delicious bread? You don't.
Yeah.
And if you do once a month, then like you decide whether that's, you know, for you or not. But again, you got to wean yourself back off of it. So is it worth the work? You know? So I kind of just changed my mentality on like the way I look at food. Like even ice cream. I'm not going to Dairy Queen. If I'm going to get ice cream, I'm going to get some homemade, delicious ice cream. But I'm not going to do it every month. I'm going to do it if it's in my face and I make the decision, like fine. You know, I think life is about balance, but I have to wean myself back off of it, you know? Even like fruit, let's say. I haven't eaten fruit in 11 months. I mean, I think once I ate watermelon, it was really sweet, like almost too sweet, which is kind of weird for me.
Yeah.
Because I would hoard myself on watermelon, and on Weight Watchers, it was 0 points. And I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
But no, there's definitely a lot of sugar in watermelon. But what I would say to myself is if I'm going to cheat and eat some watermelon, my body's going to crave that much sugar for the rest of the day. You know, like my goal is to flatline my sugar every day so I don't crave and crave and crave like an addict. You know, I want to be in control. I don't want the food to be in control. And when I'm in control, I feel elated. I just feel like so happy that like I found this way of life. And then if I become out of control, I feel like I'm yearning to get back into control. So it definitely is a balance. But
what I love hearing too is there's no blame in this. Like you recognize that the chemical change from the food is what is causing the craving, not that there's anything wrong with you, that your body's just doing what it does, what bodies do.
And that's amazing that you've taught me, because I've always blamed myself when like my sisters are size 0. Like, why don't they have these food issues? You know, like we all have a childhood, and when I stress, I eat, you know, and I love food. Like, I'm just going to admit it, you know, but you're right. Like I think you've also taught me to have a positive mind. Like when I'm working out in front of the mirror, like I should say how far I've come, not like you fat blob, keep going, you know? None of that's going to help you.
Right.
Like I do feel like, you know, positivity and, you know, having goals and keep going forward and one day at a time. Actually, you taught me one meal at a time. I think a lot of people say, oh, I'll start the diet on Monday. I'll start the diet on Monday. Like, no, like if I have a bad night, just start the next meal. It's like, okay, just one day at a time, because your stress levels are going to go up and down based on your life.
Speaking of stress, how have you tied that in? Because I know that's come up for us as far as the impact stress has on wanting or needing to eat, and the impact on your insulin as well. What did you learn about that?
So I guess before I met you, I was an all or nothing type person. I was like, you have to work out 4 days a week or don't work out at all.
Okay.
Now during like my 50-pound weight loss, I worked out twice a week. And I would sprinkle in a third one if I could. If I couldn't, I wouldn't make it the end of the world. And like that is so different from what I've been in my past. And I've enjoyed it. Like my mom's like, do you dread working? Like, no, like I like look forward to it because it de-stresses me. It's almost like I'm not going out to run, let's call it jog. I'm not going out to jog to move the scale. The scale would be nice to move. I'm really going to like clear my head and to like get my anxiety down. And less sugar has helped my anxiety go down also, thank you God.
That's fascinating. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, obviously working out de-stresses you. Music de-stresses me. The only alone time I have in my life is in my car when I'm driving. So I've chosen not to call anybody during those times. I've chosen to make it me time and put on amazing music that makes me feel good. I also love to dance, so I've tried to book some sessions of some hip hop dancing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And honestly, nobody has time for that, but I'm making time for it because I have to, for my own happiness, for my own, you know, my own well-being. You've also taught me that like, this is not just about a number on the scale. That you've really taught me is like, I actually could care less about the scale now. I mean, I care. I look at it as 1 out of 10 ways to measure myself. But like my visceral fat, I think is very important in my life. That when that goes down, I am like ecstatic.
That's the fat around your organs.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what causes diabetes and cancers and all that awful stuff. And that's where I carry my weight, you know, and I've had 2 babies and I want to be healthy, and therefore I need to get my visceral fat down. So the visceral fat measurement on your in-body scale has really helped me also. It's also nice to see how much muscle I have. I think a lot of women don't realize how much muscle they have.
Yeah.
And so they're so focused on the number and what your BMI chart should be.
Right.
But you've taught me that I'm a muscular
You are.
woman.
You're dead.
Yes, and I like that. Like I like being a beast. I'm happy with my muscle, you know. But of course, I still want to work on my visceral fat. You've taken measurements of me, so it's nice to see that the scale is really one of 10 things to measure, and you don't have to be so hyper focused on it. But like it's nice to see, you know, one of my scales that I have says that I'm metabolically 39. And I'm 36, and that motivates me. Like, don't give me 4 years, 3 years. I can't even do math. Like, don't give me more years than what I am. That makes me mad. So that motivates me too. So it's nice to have all different motivators, not just like the scale number.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that you're seeing exercise as one of your tools to manage your stress and create some balance, and that you're creating time. So many people go to the gym and they work out and then they deserve something, a food.
I've never, yes.
Yeah, and you're so beyond that you're really seeing it as your stress management, but also just you're creating more flexibility and movement, the way you move now. Like I've seen you on Facebook with videos of you running, and I'm like, Norri, oh my gosh, there's no way you could have done that with 50 pounds on you.
No way.
And
like even walking up the stairs is just just nice to
Yeah.
walk up the stairs and not be like out of breath, you know?
And those are the things I like to measure because
Yeah.
they're the things that matter, that mean something.
Right.
Yeah.
Even like crossing my legs or tying my shoe.
Yeah.
You know, that's all like the visceral fat that gets in the way.
Or that feeling when you can sit on a chair and put your feet up and like pull a blanket up and have
the best.
be like a little kid on the couch, right?
Yeah, and sit Indian style on
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing that with my kids a lot. So yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Even like carrying my kids, you know, I have my 7-year-old, I carry her no problem.
Yeah.
You know what I do? This is crazy. I put my husband on my back and I leg press him.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the thing. Like I show my kids that health is important, that strength is important, you know, and I make them laugh when I put daddy on my back.
Oh, that's hilarious. You know, I have 5 kids and now grandkids, and I learned, and you'll see this too, that they don't listen. And they do when they're little a little bit, but then they stop listening. But they never stop watching.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
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 And
They see
so
me running and
what you're doing for your family is like that ripple effect. And then you've created this community of people around you, and it just happened organically. And you're a leader by nature. It's who you are.
Yeah.
And then to say, hello world, this is now me, my new life, the old life that's gone.
Yeah.
I own this. And am I going to struggle? Yes. Am I going to skin my knees sometimes? Yes. But guess what? I'm never going back. I'm always going to get back up. And I'm here for you.
yeah.
That's
It's
so
amazing. The people on the page, they can't figure out that I don't charge money. But like by helping them, they're helping me, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I even get down to the nitty gritty. Like, why is your goal weight your goal weight? And is that from high school? You know, like, what do you're sitting here killing yourself trying to lose more weight, but why aren't you happy with where you're at, you know? So it's funny, it's interesting, not funny, to see, you know, how many different issues there are amongst all the women on the
Yeah.
page. And yeah, I just
What a
work hard. I just don't
gift.
want them to have an addiction like I did, or will always do, but managing it properly. I don't want them to be so negative and down on themselves, you know. And I just feel like if I could succeed, they can succeed. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we have about a minute left or two, so I wanted to wrap up the show, and I usually ask my guests, what are the top 3 things it takes for you day to day to be totally well?
I think one is treating my, you know, my motivation as an emergency. I think that it gives me more sense of urgency, like, you know, that when I want to be bad, you know, I look at it as more of a medical emergency and not just a motivation. I think 2 is being positive. I think negativity can really just make you sick.
Yeah.
And I think that when I work out, I like picture that negative comment coming into my head and then I punch it in the face. Like I really have that visual punching it in the face so it could just like leave, you know, like I don't have room for negativity in my life and it just brings me down.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've come a long way. I want to keep going, but I have to stay positive in order to live in this life. And 3, I would say, you know, I think it's important to research food, especially processed food, and what it does to you. You know, research disease and how it's caused. You know, get the right doctors on your side and the right support system. I have a trainer, thank you God. I have you, thank you God. I have a support system through my friends. You know, I don't hang out with people that represent gluttony. You know, I hang out with people
And
that...
you've created a tribe now.
Yes. And I don't hang out with food pushers anymore. I don't, you know, I think that you have to be positive and surround yourself with positivity, but also do your research so you know how to get past your food addiction if you have one.
Well, that is really beautiful. I'm so proud of you and so honored to be in your circle. And thank you for sharing your story and really getting vulnerable today because it's not easy to do. So
yes. All I can do is be real, but I thank you for everything. You
you're
changed my
welcome.
life.
Well, I love you to pieces.
I love you too.